says lesson 12. That's because we're combining the two, because they're both having to do with word problems, and I just picked and choose some of the word problems that we're going to work on. So let's look at this one. It says, a baseball team played 32 games and lost 8. Katie was catcher in 5/8 of the winning games and 1/4 of the losing games. What fraction of the games did the team win? Okay, so one thing I need to know, definitely, I'm going to underline 32 games because that's how many they played. They lost 8. Okay, so let's just start with part A, because the rest of this problem has to do with her being catcher, and this question doesn't ask anything about her being catcher. This question is just asking about what fraction of the games she won. So let's start with our tape diagram. At the top is our total. How many games did she play? And there are going to be 2 sections. You either won games or you lost games. So we are going to split this into 2. My sections aren't really even because she only lost 8 games, which means she won a lot more than just 8. So they're not even sections. So this is how many they lost, and that equals 8. We're trying to figure out how many they won. So obviously I need to do a subtraction problem. 32 minus 8 is equal to 24. And the question says, what is the fraction? So if I want to turn this into a fraction, I'm going to make 24 in parentheses next to it. You could put games 1. The bottom then is just going to be total games. So the fraction of the games that they won would be 24/32. Some of you may realize that you can simplify this by dividing by 8, and what you'll end up with is, if you did simplify it, you will end up with 3/4. So they won 3/4 of the games. You don't have to use 3/4. Once again, you could use your original fraction, 24/32. It's just that this is the answer simplified. Good, that's it. Problem 1A is done. Let's go to 1B. It says, in how many of the games did Katie play catcher? So this is where we're going to need the rest of the problem. Okay, it says, she played catcher in 5/8 of the winning games and 1/4 of the losing games. Notice the question says how many games. A game is a whole number. Your answer is going to be a whole number. Your answer is not going to be a fraction. So look at this carefully. This says 5/8 of the winning game. If you remember, whenever you're finding a fraction of a number, that just means that you're going to multiply. So I have 2 parts here. I have to find how many games she was catcher when they were winning and how many games she was catcher when they were losing. So this is the winning games. So 5/8 of the winning. Well, based on the previous problem, I'm going to do 5/8 of, which also means times, and we've solved over here for the top problem, problem A, that she had won 24 games. So I need to find 5/8 of 24. So to do that, I'm going to multiply my numerator times my whole number, divide by 8. I'm going to give you a minute to do that. When I do 24 times 5 to the side, you should have gotten 120 over 8. Now I need to do a division problem. 120 divided by 8 is equal to 15. So she played in 15 of the games that they won. Now I have to go to the losing games. So I have my winning and my losing. She played in 1/4 of the losing games. Of the losing games, the problem tells me, and from the part A, that they lost 8 games. So to find 1/4 of 8, I'm going to multiply 1 times 8, divide it by 4. That's going to give me 8/4, which equals 2. So, and how many games did she play catcher? The last step is to add 15 plus 2, and that equals 17. She played in 17 games. So we found out what fraction of the games they won. We found out what fraction of the games she played catcher when they won and what fraction of the games she played catcher when they were losing, and we added that together. Very good. All right, I'm going to scroll up to the last problem we're going to do. While I'm doing that, I want you to read it, underline what you think is important. All right, the last problem that we're going to do says, in Mrs. Elliott's garden, 1/8 of the flowers are red. 1/4 of them are purple. And 1/5 of the remaining are pink. And then it also tells us how many flowers there are altogether. Okay. So, step 1, draw our tape diagram. We boxed in our total boxed in. It said that there are 128 total flowers. And we know that there are red flowers, purple flowers, and there's remaining flowers, and that part of them, 1/5 of them, are pink. So there's probably other colors, like maybe white, maybe orange, maybe yellow, but these are the remaining flowers, and 1/5 of the remaining flowers are actually pink. So red, purple, and the remaining, that means I'm going to need 3 sections. Red, purple, remaining. Oops. Okay. So the very first thing I need to do is I need to find out how many red flowers there are. So if we go up to the problem, it says that 1/8 of the flowers are red. So to find out the red flowers, I know that 1/8 of, which just means multiply, of the total, there are 128, are red. So this is a multiplication problem, so I'm going to multiply my numerator times my whole number, and I'm going to divide that by my denominator. So this is equal to 128 eighths, which this is a basic fact. I don't expect you to know it, but you should do a division problem to the side. Savannah just walked in. So when I'm doing a division problem to the side, 8 goes into 1 0 times. 8 goes into 12 1 time. 8 goes into 48 6 times. So my answer is 16. That means there are 16 red flowers. I'm going to fill in that part of the tape diagram. The next part that I do know, it says that 1/4 of them are purple. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for the purple. I want to find 1/4 of all of the flowers. And I'm going to do that by multiplying my numerator times my whole number divided by my denominator. So now I'm going to do 128 divided by 4. So once again, I'm going to go to the side, do a division problem, which you all should be doing the exact same thing. 4 cannot go into 1. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract, I get 0. Bring down my 8. 4 goes into 8 2 times. And I'm left with 0. So 1/4 of 28 is actually equal to 32. So of all of the flowers, 16 were red and 32 of them were purple. We could actually use this information right now to figure out this part, because we're trying to figure out how many flowers are remaining, and then we can find out 1/5 of them. So if I know I'm starting with 128, if I subtract 16 and then subtract 32, I should be left with what's remaining. You can't do 2 subtraction problems at the same exact time, so you need to do 2 separate problems to figure out what's left. So 128 minus 16, get 112, minus 32, 0, I need to borrow, this becomes an 11, I get 8, 0. So there are 80 remaining, so that goes right here. So the question says how many are pink. Well, if we go up to the problem, it says 1/5 of the remaining flowers are pink. So if you think about this as being what's left over, if I were to split this into fifths, just one little piece, 1/5 of what's left is going to be what the pink flowers are, how many there are. So now I need to figure out the pink, I need to find 1/5 of the remaining. Not of the total, of the remaining, because it says 1/5 of the remaining. It doesn't say 1/5 of them are pink. So if I do 1/5 times 80, that's 1 times 80 divided by 5. 1 times 80 is 80. Divided by 5. Do a little division problem. Five can go into 30 6 times. I'm left with 0. So my answer is 16. So after all of this work, there are 16 pink flowers. And that's it. I know these problems are fairly difficult. I just am expecting you to try your hardest. The next step that you're going to do, according to your checklist, is you guys are all going to work on Zern Lesson 7. Zern Lesson 11. And when you're finished with that, you can do your exit ticket and work on ST Math. You're not working on the 4C activity today. That should have been completed yesterday. If it wasn't completed, you were to take it home yesterday and do it for homework. So everybody should have it turned into the mint green bin by the end of the day today, because I'm going over that tonight after school. And if you have any questions, please raise your hand. I'm sure there are at least 2 adults in the room who would be very willing